Hey everyone, this is Steve Siebold. Welcome to the Personal Development Podcast. I'm excited to be with you today because we're going to talk about one of the most important subjects in all of personal development. The thing that I call the silent killer of success, and that's none other than the addiction to the approval of other people. In 30 years of being a professional speaker, an author, traveling around the world, talking to companies, doing turnarounds with underperforming sales teams, and also working with lots of entrepreneurs that they're selling 2 million books over the course of my career, having one-on-one conversations at book signings with entrepreneurs. This is the thing that comes up the most. Why do people quit fantastic business opportunities? Why do they walk away from great careers, fulfilling careers in sales? Why do they start a small business and then just a few years later abandon that business? The number one reason I've seen is approval addiction. The addiction to the approval of other people. So I'm going to talk about this today because I have a new book out called Approval Addiction, The Silent Killer of Success. It just came out. You can find it on Amazon. And I really believe if you're an entrepreneur, if you're someone who is in the business of prospecting, selling, if you're someone who's getting rejected at any level on a daily basis, this book will change your life. I know it sounds cliche, but I spent 20 years gathering the information for this book, and I've just put it out. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm very excited about it because it can really, literally make the difference between someone succeeding and someone walking away from what could be their one opportunity to live an uncommon life, to live a life of fulfillment and financial reward and all the good things that can come out of business. I think also it's for people also that want to find their spouse, their life partner, their person, whatever you want to label it, and they're afraid to approach people. They're afraid of rejection, so they don't. That's approval addiction. It's the same exact problem. But this book details takes approval addiction from every single angle. I think you can take it. So I've got a series of questions I want to walk through with you today that I want you to ask yourself. And I want you to ask yourself to answer these questions completely honestly. No embellishment, no performative language, just honesty. Be authentic. Don't lie to yourself. Ask yourself these questions because I think they can make a difference in moving forward. So I'm going to get right into it right off the bat. So here's my first question for you in the context of this approval addiction. In which areas of your life are you wearing a mask? Think about it. In which areas of your life are you hiding the truth from other people? Is it in your business? Is it in your job? Is it in your career? Is it in your personal life? Here's the second question. What is this let me say that again. What is this inauthenticity costing you? What's the price of wearing a mask? Now, a lot of us wear masks because we're afraid of losing business. We're afraid of what people will think of us, right? And that's part of life. I mean, there's no question about that. But the less authentic you are, the less happy you're going to feel. Trying to be someone else is not a fulfilling process because you know it's a fake. And many, many people, if not most people, are fake. Not because they want to be fake, not because they're bad people, just because they're afraid of the consequences of displaying their authentic self. So one of the things I did in this book, and I believe me, I was criticized for this. Publishers came at me when I told them I was going to do it. I've been planning on writing this book for about 10 years, and I've just been too busy to do it. And now in semi-retirement, I've had the time. So I wanted to really detail this book and really get to the core. And throughout the book, I'm asking, and just like I'm asking you these questions, I'm asking people to be as authentic as they possibly can be, not just for their own success, but for their happiness. Because at the end of the day, what good is success without happiness? It's no good. Believe me, I know a lot of rich people. For the last 40 plus years, I have interviewed self-made millionaires. Some of you guys know the story. The Wall Street Journal said it was the biggest study ever done on self-made millionaires. I don't know if there's anything to back that up, but it's certainly one of the largest studies. 1,329 self-made millionaires and billionaires over the past 40 years, all one-on-one. None of them over the phone, none of them over the internet. When I started, there was no internet, way before the internet, 1984. And I can tell you something that some of you won't believe. A lot of these rich people, really rich people, I don't mean someone that's making, $1 million a year. I'm talking about people that have more money than they could spend in 5 generations. A lot of these rich people are miserable. They found the secret to business. They never found the secret to happiness. And what good is success without happiness? It's something to think about, right? It's something to ask yourself. It's something to really ponder. And again, that's why I'm not trying to be overly hawkish, hawking the book on the podcast here. But I mean, my point of it is that this is the one thing in mental toughness and psychological performance that kills more careers, kills more dreams than anything I've ever seen. So I tried to hit it at every angle possible. And the first one really comes out to be, what mask are you wearing and what is it costing you in your relationships, in your business, excuse me, in your life in general? What is it costing you? It's probably costing you a lot. So going back to where I started with this, I'm asking people, just as I'm asking you, to be yourself. And again, you've heard it before. I've heard it before. It's easy to say and hard to do because there are costs. There are consequences. So what I did in this book that I mentioned, I started out saying, and I got off the track there for a second, that publishers said I was crazy to do was I put my most personal stories in this book. I reveal things that will cost me fans, will cost me money. Maybe you won't follow me anymore when you read what I wrote in this book. I revealed myself. I took the mask off in areas that I've never told anyone, or very few people in some cases. Okay. And I won't go into what they are. You can read them, you get the book. But, I figured that if I was going to ask other people to be more authentic, then I needed to be as authentic as I could possibly be and take the mask off. So that's what I did. And I'm honestly, the publishers, every publisher I talked to before we put the book out said, you're crazy. You're crazy. You don't want to say that in a book. You will segment your market so far, it could cost you millions of dollars, in book sales, speeches, whatever. But if I'm going to be authentic, if I'm asking you to be authentic, I've got to be authentic. And I'll tell you what I found in the process of revealing this, and this book will go all over the world. There's no question about it. I've got a fan base of 2 million people that have bought my books. The book eventually will travel around the world, I'm quite sure. And there will be probably a lot of pushback on me. But I'll tell you what it feels like to have it out there already, just although the book's only a couple of days, it's only been out there for a couple of days. There's a freedom. There's a freeing of your personality, your belief system, your values, and your lifestyle. I mean, just your mindset. When you put it all on the line and say, you know what, this is who I am. And if I'm like my late business partner, Bill Gove, used to say, if I'm going to be free, really free, I got to be me. I can't be you. You might be better than me in a lot of things, but I still can't be you and you can't be me. You got to be you. If you're going to be free, I got to be me and you got to be you to really be free. Otherwise, you're living someone else's life, a life with a mask on, which might work. It might give you success. It might actually trick people into liking you because you're pretending to be someone else. But I think you have to ask yourself, what kind of a life is that? If people like me, but it's not really me, I'm not sure there's much value in that. Okay, so here's my second question. Are you afraid that people won't like you? If you are authentic and you take the mask off and you say, approval addiction, be damned, I'm going to be me because it's the only way I can be free, are you afraid that they won't like you for who you really are? It's kind of like, I guess, a woman that maybe wears a lot of makeup. Someone that comes to mind is Pamela Anderson. The model, the blonde model, and for so many years, and actress, sort of an actress, right? A little bit of an actress. She did some movies, I think, and television shows. Baywatch, I think, was where she got famous, right? So actress, but certainly a model more than anything else, probably, right? Tons of makeup, and if you've seen her in the last few years, she decided to take all of her makeup off. And she literally looks like a different person because she wore so much makeup. She's hard to recognize, really. She's still very attractive and everything, I think, but obviously the makeup, goes a long way because that's why people wear makeup. It makes them look better. But I got to tell you, I think she's got a hell of a lot of guts, more than most people would. I don't know if I'd have the guts. I hope I would, but I don't know. If I was a beauty queen like her and I took off all the makeup and then did movies, she just did a movie with Liam Neeson with no makeup or very little makeup, let's say. That takes a lot of guts because obviously she's gotten attention her whole life because she's this great beauty, which the makeup clearly enhances for anyone for that matter, but certainly someone with her, with her looks. She took it all off. She took off all the makeup and she's just saying, hey world, here I am. Do you still like me? Do you still think I'm attractive without the makeup? That takes guts. That's what I'm talking about. And I don't know her and I've never talked to her, but I'll bet the feeling of freedom has been amazing because why else would she do it? What if you did that? Not literally makeup, but what if you just took away the masks that we all wear, that you're wearing, that most of us do wear, and you just showed people who you really are? What do you think that would feel like? Well, I can tell you just from my experience, especially just putting these very personal, highly personal things in this book. Again, I'm going against publishers, other authors. Everyone I think I've talked to said, you've got to be crazy to put these highly, highly personal things in a book that's going to go around the world. I don't care. I'm not afraid. I'm really not. I think I was in the beginning, but I'm not anymore because the feeling of freedom feels so good. You may not like me after you read the things. I don't know, but that's who I am. This is who I really am. You without the mask is the same way. This is who you really are. I'd rather have a small group of people that like me for who I really am than a large group of people that like me for some other person I'm pretending to be. It's something to think about. Here's my next question. Are other people's opinions more important to you than your mission? Okay, let's look at it. Maybe you're out there trying to build a business. Okay, I work with a lot of companies that have business opportunities. I've sold a lot of books to those companies over the years. I've spoken at their conventions. I'm a big fan of concepts like network marketing, direct sales, especially in the financial space. Companies like Primerica and WFG, GFI, and there's Experior. There's a lot of companies out there. They provide these business opportunities for people that need an opportunity, don't have a lot of money to invest, but they do have to work their asses off to make it work. No question about it. Hard work for sure. Great opportunity with big upside potential. I love those opportunities. I love them. I've always supported those groups, and frankly, they've supported me. They've bought a lot of my books over the years. I mean, hundreds of thousands of the books have been sold to those entrepreneurs that start out, and they're trying to build something for themselves and their families. And I love that they have those opportunities. A lot of people criticize organizations like network marketing organizations or direct sales organizations. I've always been a big fan. Are there downsides? Are they perfect opportunities? Are the companies flawed? Yeah, every company's flawed. I've been a consultant for Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Harrah's, Microsoft, GlaxoSmithKline, Merck, you name it. Not every company in the Fortune 500, but dozens and dozens of companies I've consulted for. They're flawed companies too. The biggest companies in the world have flaws. So yes, network marketing companies have flaws. Direct sales companies have flaws. So do pharmaceutical companies and everyone else. But the difference is these companies give people an opportunity to break out of a life of regimen and scarcity. And I love them. I've always loved them. I've always supported them. And, I've always been a big fan. And so they have a mission, right? They become an associate, they become a distributor, they become someone representing a product line or a financial product or multiple products or whatever it might be. And they have a mission. Their mission is to get themselves out of debt and get themselves in a position where they can be financially independent. I would say that's probably their number one mission. And it's serious because that's a changing game. The difference between you living a life of financial security versus a life of financial insecurity is a different life. I've lived both. I've had no money and struggled, and I've had more money than I'll ever need and not struggled. And it's a different life. When you don't have to wake up every day and wonder where your next, bill is going to get paid, how are you going to pay the mortgage, how do you wake up and you have no bills. You have your electric bill and the basic things, but you don't have any debt, and it's a really good feeling. So that's their mission. They're out there to they're fighting the good fight, and God bless them for doing it. It's not the easiest thing to do. And entrepreneurs are the same way in any business, small business owners, people building careers in different professions. They're out there fighting the good fight day after day, pumping it out there, trying to achieve their mission, to change their financial futures. So the question, if you're one of those people, the question is your mission more important than other people's opinions? I hope the answer is yes. But most people behave like it's not. Like the mission isn't. Like people's opinions are more important, because that's the number one reason that people quit these opportunities. I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of them live in seminars all over the world for the last, almost 30 years. And I know I've talked to hundreds of thousands of them at book signings, and they worry about what their family says and what their friends say and what their colleagues might think and all the rest of it. And eventually they become exhausted in the process of worry, of getting rejected. And they quit. And they go back to a life they know is not going to result in their financial freedom. And it's sad. That's 95% of the people that enter any business. They end up quitting. And most times the reason is approval addiction. Other people are rejecting me so often. I get so tired of being rejected that I finally go, I give up. I'll go back to my job. Maybe I won't live a life that most people only see in movies like I had dreamed of. But at least I won't be getting beat up every day by other people. Are their opinions more important than your mission? They can't be. They can't be. You got to break the cycle. Take the mask off. Let them hit you. Let them come at you. That's when people say, okay, well, how do you do it? Well, one of the ways just now in modern technology, modern days, go online. If you're not used to doing it, go online and comment on something or post something on social media that you know darn well is going to be highly unpopular. And then let the comments fly. Don't delete the comments. Don't ignore the comments. Read the comments. Let people come at you. Let them reject you. Let them disapprove of your opinion. This is the beginning of taking off the mask. This is the beginning. It's a beginning. You don't have to do that exactly. That doesn't have to be what you do, but it is a good modern day strategy to get used to this. Because like anything else, when you start, let's say, taking the mask off, it gets easier and easier and easier. It doesn't get harder. It gets easier. The more rejection you get, the more bulletproof you become. The more desensitized you become. It gets easier. Oh, is it going to be tough in the beginning if you're an approval addict like most of us are? Yeah, it hurts a little. It scares you a little. It's not something that most people will ever even consider doing. But isn't that kind of sad? Because it means you're living an inauthentic life. You're showing the world someone that doesn't really exist. It's not really who you are. Why not show them you? See what happens. You might be surprised. They might like you more than you think. Maybe the secrets I've revealed in this book, my personal secrets, maybe they'll think it's better than I think they will. I don't know because the book just came out a couple days ago. I don't know. And frankly, I really don't care that much because I've been going through this process for many years. And there's no way I could have built businesses like we have in 10 countries around the world if I was truly addicted at the highest level to approval. I certainly have fallen into the trap before, sometimes still do. But in order to really push forward in a major way, you got to push past it. There's no other way. Okay, so that's one way. What's another method of doing this? Start saying no when you normally say yes. Start saying no. When you don't want to do something, say no. You don't have to give any reason. You don't owe anyone an explanation. It's your life. It's your time. And it's limited. You're only going to get so much of it, and you may not have tomorrow. I may not have tomorrow. I may not have later today. You might not either. We don't know. That's the cosmic joke of life, right? You know you have a limited amount of time. You just don't know how limited it is. So you have the right to say no. You have the right to have your reasons for saying no without explaining it to anyone else, including your spouse, including your mom and dad, including your best friend. Try that. It's not something we normally do, right? Because we're trying to please other people. Start saying no when you normally say yes. Try it out. These are little steps, okay, that lead to stronger feelings of authenticity. You're becoming more of you. And that's what you want to show the world, because people tend to sense phoniness, the mask, inauthenticity. They sense it. Sometimes they don't know exactly where you're fudging or you're not being yourself, but they know it's there. And on the other side of the spectrum, people tend to sense someone being real. There's just something about the vibration of the words, the facial expressions, the body language, etc. Show them you. I know it's easy to say and hard to do. Believe me, I get it. You might be surprised. You might be pleasantly surprised. I'd rather have people that like me for who I am than people that like me for something I'm not. What about you? Here's my next question. In your pursuit of success, have you lost the real you? In your pursuit of success, have you lost the real you? Somewhere along the way, did you lose who you really were? I've done it before because I just wanted to succeed. Just wanted to win so badly that somehow along the way I stopped being myself and started being something that I thought would lead me to success faster and bigger. But if you lose yourself along the way, have you really gained anything? It's something to think about. Now, remember, these questions are very valid. If you're a coach, if you coach people, like if you're building a team or you're some kind of coach, these are questions you want to ask the people you work with. These are very, very valid questions. Ask them to ask themselves and see what they say. Here's my next question. How honest are you? How often do you bend the truth to get what you want? Okay, now look, we've all bent the truth. We've all lied. We've all bent the truth. We're all human beings, right? Fallible human beings, fallible emotional creatures. And we learn sometimes to bend the truth, to embellish things, whatever, to get what we want. But the question is, at what cost? At what cost? Here's a quote from the book. It's on page 35 of the book. In a world full of liars, being honest makes you powerful. I'll say it again. In a world full of liars, being honest makes you powerful. How honest are you? Especially with yourself. Are you embellishing? Are you lying? Are you not telling the truth so people will like you more? Or are you being authentic? These are some questions. These are just a few of the questions of hundreds of questions in this book that I would ask you to consider as you go forward, because they literally could change your life. That's why I'm so excited. I'm so pumped up about this book. Because I know this is the thing. This is the one thing that will keep you in the game. If you're really in the fight, if you're in the thick of the fight and you're out there, going day after day, 10, 12, 15 hours a day like I used to go, I know what that's like. I did that for 25 years. I chased all over the world, opened offices in 10 different countries and dealt with legal issues and government issues and, all kinds of different, obviously employee issues and all the rest. Good markets, bad markets, losing money, making money. It makes me tired just thinking about it now at 60 years old. But I know what it's like, and it's not easy to do. And I'll wrap this particular podcast with this just to leave you with something to think about. When you get to the finish line, okay, when you decide, like I did a couple years ago, to sell your business or sell or retire or whatever it is, and you kind of calm down and you look back at your career, will you be happier that you were authentic, that you took the mask off, that you were honest, right? Or will you be happier looking and saying, well, I wasn't really me, but I succeeded? I tried to get people to like me because people do business with people they like, right? How will it feel? Okay. That's just something to consider. It's kind of like what's going on in the United States right now politically. I won't get into politics right here. I am not beyond getting into politics. You can see my social posts. It's the same thing. People say, well, you're going to lose money, and if you get involved with political discussions online or anything else, because the people that disagree with you will no longer follow you. Okay. I think that's probably true. For in a lot of cases, a lot of people are emotionally, stunted. And if you don't like what they like or you don't agree with them, they take their ball and they go home like a child. And that's a big part of the population of the world. Unfortunately, sad as that is, we know that through statistics. But at the same time, the reason I speak out about it right now is because we are literally, in my opinion, right? It's my opinion. That's a lot of people's opinion, but it's also mine, that we are on the verge of becoming a dictatorship in the United States. Now, a lot of people think I'm exaggerating. I don't. I've studied history. I think I don't know how people can't see that. So I go online and I say it, and I get criticism all day long. People say, I'll never buy your books. I don't like you anymore. Blah, 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 blah. Too bad. Too bad. Because authenticity, being authentic, saying who you are, being who you are, as much as you possibly can, has a feeling that I've never experienced anything like it. A freeing, as I started this out with, that is hard to explain until you do it. When you start being yourself and stop being someone else, your life changes. And people know it. They know when you're bullshitting them. People usually know. If they don't know in the beginning, they find out pretty quick. But if you tell them the truth, they also know that. They know it's your truth. Now, maybe they disagree. I used to, when we traveled with Bob Proctor, the great speaker years ago, 25 plus years ago, people used to ask me all the time, because we traveled all over the world together and gave speeches and to thousands and thousands of people. And people would ask me all the time, they'd say, well, do you agree with everything Bob Proctor says because you're so close to him? And I said, no, I don't. But I'll tell you this. He believes everything he says. He's completely authentic. He's the same guy off stage as he is on stage. I'll tell you that, because I traveled with him for a long time and I knew him, for 25 until he died. I knew him for 25 years. He's the same guy. I may not disagree with everything. Other people might not agree, but I'll tell you what, he said it like he believed it. Right or wrong, good or bad, up or down. What about you? You want to be free? You got to be yourself. Be authentic. These are things to think about. Again, if you're a coach, pass this on to the people you're coaching, your team, whatever, and see how it opens up a discussion, because people really do want to be themselves. At the end of the day, who doesn't want to be themselves? Who wants to pretend to be someone else? I don't. I've done it for the same reasons you've done it. We've all done it. There's no question about that. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. It's like lying. It doesn't feel good. We've all done it. It doesn't feel good. Be who you are. Take the mask off as much as you can. It doesn't have to be the full mask the first day. Okay? Take it in little bites. That's what this book is really about. It's about taking it in little bites in different areas of your life until you get better and better and better. Just like learning a language or learning how to play guitar or learning how to play golf. It's not all at once. It's day by day, little improvements. Day by day. That's the nature. That's the foundation of personal development itself. Give it a try. Think about these things. And I'd love to hear your feedback on the emotional, psychological impact that you experience when you take the mask off. Remember, you can always put it back on. I hope you don't. I hope I don't. But you can. You can always go back to the old way. You can always go back to being someone you're not. I don't think you're going to be much happier, very happy doing that. I know I wasn't. But you can always do that. You can always go back. Give it a try and see what happens. Okay. I appreciate you tuning in to the Personal Development Podcast. Again, I'm Steve Sieba. I hope you'll check the book out. It's on Amazon right now. There's a workbook, complimentary workbook coming out with it too. That'll be out probably in the next 30 days or so, 45 days. And it'll be on Audible as well for those of you that like to listen. It's not now, but it'll probably be by the next couple of months. We'll have it on Audible, so you can do that. Study this topic. Think about it. If you're coaching people, talk to them about it. It is a game changer. Not everything in psychology is a game changer. Approval addiction, the overcoming of approval addiction is a total game changer. Give it a try. See if you agree. Thanks for watching. See you next time.